Alright, we're going on an adventure. Get rid of this noise. Whee! Alright, we're done at the muffler shop here. And this is gonna get chopped back. He didn't have the tip I wanted right now, so he ordered it in, but this will get chopped back and then the tip will go on here. And a nice little system. They did a really good job. Appreciate it. They had to come down some on that driver's side over there because of the shift linkage, but alright, so the thing I didn't show you and didn't have time to show you is on the way over here. This passenger side caliper started dragging, and so when I got here it was smoking. Not great. So my plan is right now I need to get under it, try and pry the caliper back a little bit to free it up, and then I'm going to clamp the line on this side and nurse it home, and then figure it out from there. Maybe get a line on the way home. But that's where we're at, and that's what we're going to do. Well, I couldn't get the caliper freed up as much as I wanted to, but it must have been enough because it's not pulling that direction anymore. Definitely got a hard pull to the left now when I hit the brakes, but to be expected. This thing sounds amazing. Place I went to is called Apache Muffler. It's here in Mesa. If you happen to live in the area, you should check them out. They did an amazing job. It's nice and throaty at idle, and it's got a good throaty sound on the throttle. So sounds good. I appreciate it. We just got to get that tip on there so it looks good. Alright, made it back home in one piece. She's a swerver when you hit the brakes, let me tell you. Anyways, we got back here. I stopped by, get some O2 sensors as well, ordered up the brake parts that I need. They'll be here tomorrow, so we'll take care of that. But what's going on with the O2 sensors is the computer is saying that they're both bad. So we're going to replace them. Took a shot with the ones that were in there. Going to replace them. And we'll get this thing tuned up. We'll call Andy at LSX Specialties and we'll get it tuned remotely. But before I go doing that, I want to let this thing cool down because it is about 750 million degrees. Oh, speaking of which, the intake air temperatures in this bad boy are really high. It's not good. So we're like coming close to some detonation, some issues. The computer's already retarding the timing some to take care of that. But we need to get rid of that little cone filter I put on there that's just sucking in all that engine bay hot air, and maybe put the factory box in there somehow. I'll probably have to move the battery back into one of the service boxes or something like that. But we'll get that figured out before it starts hurting some stuff. But for now, I'm gonna go eat my Taco Bell. Probably pass out on the couch for a minute, wait for this thing to cool out. Change out those O2 sensors and call up Andy. Num 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 num. Good morning. It's the next day. Went in, ate my Taco Bell, fell asleep on the couch. Didn't want to do anything else for this today. So now we're back at it. Alright, so we got to throw in these O2 sensors right down there. Those little guys. So we're going to pull those out and replace them. They're not reading very well. Where did they turn this one? Not a huge fan that they welded that back on in a position where it's sticking out like that. Maybe they saw better. I don't know. But anyways, we'll get underneath it. We'll pull out those O2 sensors, put in the new ones, and then I gotta go pick up. I bought new knock sensors as well because it's showing a knock retard, and I'm not sure if that's because of the heat or the vibration or what, but maybe it's just crappy knock sensors that got put in there. They were Delphi, so I was hoping they'd be good. but we'll replace those as well. Now you got to take that intake off completely to do it. But for now, let's get under there and change those O2 sensors. So it turns out the O2 sensors were the wrong ones. They had the same plug as the harness had, the male side of it. It was kind of weird. Anyways, it doesn't work, so we'll hold off on that. But for right now, we're gonna put in a coolant temperature sensor, and it's gonna go in that plug right back there in the back of the head. And it's just one of these guys here for the mechanical gauge. So we'll throw that guy in there while we're trying to figure out the O2 sensor thing, and then I can go pick up all those parts, fix the brakes, and drive the truck. So check it out, here's where we're at. O2 sensors that I had for 06, they don't work. They have a male plug on the end of them, I need a female. So, made a trip to Napa, got my brake lines that I ordered up, some new O2 sensors, and also some LED lights for the bed of the truck. There's the O2 sensors. So we can finish off all of the lighting around the outside, and I got my brake line. We'll swap that out, make sure everything's good with that, and a radiator cap, because it's still got that old radiator cap that's not great. It seems to weep past and drip on the ground. So there we go. Also, NOx sensors. These ones are GM NOx sensors, so they should work. No more knock retard. I feel like I just offended somebody by saying that, but no more knock special needs timing, so it should be good now. Alright, let's get this O2 sensors in so we can get this thing tuned and out on the road. So I realized that I never gave you guys a cold start with the new exhaust on there, so the O2 sensors are in now, so we'll go ahead and do that cold start for you. Here we go.
Do it, yes.
So, there you have it. Sounds pretty slick to me. I don't know how well the sound quality is going to come through on the camera, but it sounds good to me. It'll look real good when that tip is put on too. It doesn't, kind of looks, you get what I'm saying. Whew, it's the next day, we're back. We got a lot of stuff to do today. Yesterday we got the tune in finally, got the air fuel figured out, the O2 sensors are in, disabled a bunch of stuff that was causing some issues. However, it's still showing a knock retard, so we're going to throw in these GM knock sensors. Apparently, if it's not GM, the LS doesn't like it. Anyways, we also got our adapter for our coolant sensor, for our mechanical coolant sensor. That front brake line, we'll change that out first while we're waiting for the engine to cool down. Also got the fuel check valve, got a little ball in there. Keep the fuel from running back into the tank after you shut off the engine. This one has that C5 fuel filter in it, and the fuel just kind of runs back into the tank. There's no check valve in the filter itself. So got that, we're going to throw that in. Got our switch. We need to drain the passenger side tank, so we'll flip this on and pop the fuel line off and pump the fuel out of that guy. And also, we've got our bumper bolts, so we can finally straighten out this bumper. It's pretty hashed. And also we need to move the battery into one of the toolboxes back there and put this factory intake back on. Our intake temperatures are bonkers. I think I've seen upwards of 150 degrees. We're getting into like detonation territory, not great stuff. Also a whole bunch of LED lights for the service bed. And we're going to finally fix that power steering leak. It's the input shaft that's leaking, so I got the O-ring for that, and we'll switch that out. Woo! Woo, that's a lot of stuff. Let's get it. Old brake line is out, but not without some casualties. So, before we run to the store to grab that stuff, why don't we go ahead and put the other stuff in to see if we need anything else. Alright, so check it out. Here's what the plan. Put a battery down in this bottom one down here. It's kind of hard to see from where you're at. Down there, there's already a little shelf for it. That way, the spot for the air box is cleared out. I can take the battery out of there and put it here. The cable should still be long enough. If not, we'll go and grab another one. Otherwise, we just need to extend the ECM cable. The negative cable I want to go to the back of the head on the engine. So probably going to need to get a new one of those, but let's go ahead and move the battery over here. Alright, so forgot to put the battery hold down. Oh, frick. Once we get this all figured out in here, what we'll end up doing is making some brackets to keep it from sliding back and forth. We'll step on brake gas. Okay, I took the battery tray out, disconnected the ECU so I can push this power cable back down through. Need to take this ground cable off and put it somewhere else. And then we get this box in here. The problem I'm running into is there's really nowhere to get it to where I can get cold air into it. I don't know what to do. Still gonna be hot air. Interesting. Let's see if it actually changes the temps. If we put it over towards the fender here. Helps if you put it on the right way. In actuality, I really don't have any clue what I'm doing, but just don't tell anybody and it won't be a problem. We'll give that a go right there. Can't really do much else with it. There's no real cold air coming from anywhere else. And right there's our only shot. Leave that right there for the time being. Let's run this hot cable back. See if it reaches. Alright, so I tilted it back. It's nowhere near long enough. We're gonna have to get a long one. So that's another thing we gotta pick up at the store. Long ground cable, long power cable, brake lines. Well, let's put this coolant sensor in and see if that'll work as well. I suspect this is gonna pour all over the place as soon as I get it out. Which kind of sucks because it's a two-part system here. I gotta put that other plug in, and then this one. Staunch the bleed a little bit. Okay, I'm curious to see how well this actually works because that entire probe is sitting in that adapter itself. Any hot water for it to read would have to travel in it, not be stagnant, travel back out and into the head. We'll see. All right, so I'm back after a little bit of hot driving. Got some brake lines and got new battery cable, just one cable. I'm gonna see if I can't make that negative battery cable to the frame and then ground strap to the head, and we should be good with that. I know all the Chevy guys are like, gotta put it to the back of the head, electronics won't work. Well, I mean, we're gonna figure it out. We'll see if that's a thing or if it's not a thing, but we'll be ground strapping from the back of the head to the frame, and then down the frame, a negative battery cable up into the box. So let's go ahead and get to work on those brake lines. I got a concoction of fittings and reducers and couplers and stuff like that, so we should be good to go this time. So let's throw all that crap in, and then I'll show you what we're doing with the battery. I need to try and get this fitting to work so I can reuse it, somehow get it out of here. Let's see what I can figure out, see if I can get this thing out of here. Because the old line is snapped off in there. Let's see if I can't squeeze it down to get it out. Might have to grind it down. I don't know, we'll try. Time to see if I can stretch this line, put it back through this fitting, bolt it up. Pray for me. Paper towels. Need a paper towel. Oh, got one. Going back in. All right, this line looks pretty good, so we'll just flare it and give it a home back where it goes. Save us from replacing the whole line all the way back. That would not be fun. Not in 450 million years. Sorry if I'm breathing right into this mic, it's literally right in front of my mouth. All right, so I unclipped the power cable for the ECM and ran it down. I'm gonna have to extend it a little bit to get to here, but now we're gonna run this new battery cable down and into the frame. Just gotta get her there. See where it's coming out. Hooked on a feeling that this is a nightmare. It's taking forever to do just anything. All right, going underneath. All right, where are we at, Mr. Power Cable? Where'd you go? There you is. So this guy is heading the wrong direction. Needs to go the right direction, which is down here. I concede. We win. So after getting just absolutely wrecked on preparation and parts yesterday, went back to the drawing board, sat down, figured out exactly what I needed. So today we can actually finish this thing up and get it back on the road. I needed to carry some stuff and get those rally wheels dismounted so we can get them put on knot mitt and preparing for all that stuff. And so what I went out and did is I went out and I got some bulk wire. I got some 4 gauge, 10 feet of each. That way we can run it from the battery back there, and I'm just gonna crimp my own ends on, got some copper ends for it and some adapters for that side post battery. So we're gonna crimp that stuff on. Ended up going out and getting a new brake line so we can finish that up. I finished up the rear brake lines yesterday, and so that's all taken care of. We flared the end and ran it back over, and so it should be good to go. Today, front brake line, put this fuel valve in, keep it from backflowing back into the tank. Got the transfer switch. Oh yeah, the seal for the power steering pump and the bolts for the front bumper. What we don't need for it to get back on the road right now is the bumper bolts. We do have to fix the power steering seal. It's just puking all over the place. Let's go ahead and get this front brake line in, then we can start crimping those power cables and see if we've got everything run the way we need to. Dear Maria, it's real nice when you wear shorts. You got the fan right behind you, blowing right up. So a lot of the stuff that ran into the battery cable itself, sorry if that was loud, battery cable itself has to be rerun and run back over, but I've got ground straps in here already run, so I'm going to tie those in and we'll click it in that way. Ka-chow! All right, grounded back down. Let's move on to that brake line. So one of the first things we got to do is we got to figure out exactly how much of a bend we need. I'm gonna have some leftover. All right, so figuring out the bend. So over here, I'm not gonna be able to make the type of bend that it needs to go over here. So I'm gonna drill a hole up through the bottom of this cross member, and then I'll take the line up through it, and then I'll mark where I need the bend, the 90 to come out and across. It'll come out across and then back into the cross member, over, mark again for another bend, mark over here for the finish, and may chop this and flare it to get rid of the excess. So we'll go with, cue the time lapse, Becky. All right, the brake lines are all run. Everything's good to go on that end. Got a nice solid pedal. We bled the brakes. Unfortunately, I noticed when I was pushing on the brake out here that there was some deflection in the disc. And so I looked at the hub. The hub's loose, the nut's loose on it. So I'm gonna pull that sucker off. I'm gonna pack those bearings real quick, and we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program. But as far as those brake lines go, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being no fun at all, 10 being the most fun I've ever had, that was probably a -5. All right, let's get back at it. Cool, so tires back on, brakes are finally bled. Brakes are finally bled, and we're ready to finally move on and tackle this battery relocation. So I'm gonna strip these wires down. We're gonna crimp on the ends, and I'm gonna run some solder into it to keep it in place. Funnel it down through that side over there, in and over, so we get a right length. Then we'll trim it, hook it up to the starter. This one's gonna go to the back of the head. I'm just gonna do what everybody says. You know, I didn't listen with the GM sensors thing, and we got GM issues. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this to the back of the head. Forgive me for my hiccups. Back of the head. And then that should really do it for the battery relocation. I already got a bracket we can drill in there to keep it from sliding back and forth. That'll do, and we'll move on to that power steering. It really shouldn't be that bad. It's just a snap ring in the front. Cover comes off, put the new seal on, put snap ring back on. Good to go. And I just jinxed myself again. Damn it. I'm gonna go ahead and strip this down. Man, why does this still seem like it's way too short? We gonna find out. Don't cut your finger, 'cause it hurts. Some people have a little hydraulic crimper that they'll use for this. I don't have one of those. I have one of the ones you smack with a hammer and it dents it, and then you fill it with solder to keep it from pulling out the other side. There we go. So this guy just goes down in here, give it a little whack, and then it's good to go. Cut this back a little bit more so I can get to it with the solder. It's getting this heat shrink over the top of it anyways, so. Good to go, good to go. Ain't going nowhere. There you have it, folks. Good to go. Now I'm gonna feed this down through. You can watch if you like. You don't have to. This is time you could probably go get a cold brew, coffee, or the alcoholic beverage, and I'll still be here putting this wire in. So I mean, you don't have to stick around. It's not like your views count or anything, so Don't cry for me, Argentina. Come on, get out of there. Feed this guy down in. Let's see where that came out. Oh, my darling. Your touch. Don't want to stop feeding. Just stuff in wire. Don't know where it's going, but I'm stuffing it through. Yeah. Send help. I got an entire mountainside of dirt in my eyes. Which side's positive? It's the other side. That side. I think we finally have enough wire to run this bad dog all the way up to the starter. Yep, sure do. All right, we're gonna give an extra little loop-de-doop down here in case we change anything up. Okie dokie, so here's our measurement. We'll give it a cut and do the same thing we did over there. All right, I picked up these little adapters here for the side posts. Mix it so I can hook these bad dogs on. I'm all wired up underneath, everything's hooked up to the starter. Even got the ECU power hooked up. And so now we're gonna hook this up and see if there's a fire anywhere. I put in that check valve, the fuel check valve, while I was hanging underneath there. So you can check that off. Get it? Check valve, check it off. You got it. All right, these adapters just screw into the front of the side post and just cinch them on. Boop. Not crazy tight, but tight-ish. I don't hear any sparking. Wire doesn't feel like it's getting hot. I think we're good. Throw some zip ties on it. Also need to throw a isolator in here between this box and the wires, just because sit here and the amount of miles that I'm going to end up putting on this thing, it's just better to have some sort of isolator in case there's any sharp edges that want to rub through. Always take that risk when you're running it through a blind hole. Let's fire up, see what we got. It's going to have to crank a little bit because I did drain whatever fuel was left in the fuel line to put in that check valve. Make sure we're all clear. Not exactly sure why I wanted to backfire when I started it up just now. Running good though. Okay, I'm gonna reroute the ground wire real quick and then I'll get back at you. Okay, ground wire is successfully rerouted. What I saw was it was just kind of resting on the header, so I went and ran it under the cross member, bolted it back to the head, so it's where it needs to be to do the stuff it needs to do. All right, so I'm gonna fire it back up, see if the check valve worked, and I don't have to crank it. Hopefully it doesn't backfire again. That was a little weird. I'll pull some codes and see what we get out of that stuff, but start it up. I'm gonna let it run for a while because I need to see if that cooling gauge is actually working, that adapter we put in. Let's go ahead and fire her up. Cool. Sounds good. I'm actually gonna adjust it, move it around, so I can get to that power steering side easier. Why? I just wanted to keep it from doing the floppy thing. That's all I wanted to do. Here we go. Okay. No more floppage. So I didn't have a whole lot of faith in that adapter for the coolant over there, but it is right on the money. Right inside, it's reading just a hair above 190. Computer's reading the same thing. I can't do this power steering issue anymore, so I'm going to change that seal real quick. And that's really the only issue we got going on, other than for some reason the alternator is showing 13.7 volts here. Battery is showing 12 volts over there. So the factory harness for this truck, not the harness from LSX Specialist, the factory harness is not charging back over. I gotta check that out, see what's going on with that. I don't know what's going on with that. Let's get dirty. So here's our problem child, and I don't know if you can see the drips out of there, but it is just basically pouring out of this front seal when it's idling and when you turn and stuff like that. So we're gonna pull off this steering shaft, slide it back. There's a C-clip under here. We'll take that C-clip off, pop it out, and then there's the seal. Slide the seal off, slide a new seal on. Woo, we are rounding the bend on this one. So I put in that seal on the gearbox. Wouldn't you know it, it didn't fix the problem. And so now I'm gonna need to go get a gearbox. It's the way things go sometimes. So Squarebodies, got a little bit of a love-hate relationship right now with this one. But I'm gonna do something that's gonna make me feel a little bit better about it. I'm gonna replace these lights here with the little LED ones. So I got a whole packet of them, reds and yellows. I didn't know there was another red right here, so we'll just replace these two here, and I'll get two new ones from over there, and then there's an orange in the front on that side as well. But these things just pop out. Come on. There we go. So we'll just go ahead and pop this guy out of here. Whoops. Good thing it was already broken. And then this one goes right back in its place. Nope, this one, red one. The red goes there. Pop this seal in. Boop, boop, boop. And then the lens in there, just like so. JK, hold please. There it goes. All right, if you have these with the regular ones already, you don't have to replace the plug itself. The same exact plug works on it. So I'll show you this one back here. Just push it out, pop the plug out. This is the plug that comes with it. And that's the plug that's in it. Super easy swap out. We'll put this one in. Save these plugs for another day. Bada bing, bada boom. Bada! I'm gonna change the rest. Woo! So, that's just about everything I got for today, other than the gearbox, which I'll order one up, but I think we're good to go on it. The lights look good, everything looks good. Let's go check it out.
Strike me thunder. Let me get closer to the light. Please strike me thunder. So I can be free. So I've come to
It's been idling for about, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, and the temp gauge is right at 190, which coincides with the ECU's temp, so that adapter must work. Who would have thought? But anyways, thanks for joining me. If you liked the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that super thanks button down on the bottom. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to do some more stuff with this truck out here, maybe a different truck. Actually, it is a different truck. Stick around, you'll see what I'm talking about. Thanks for watching. As always, have fun.